Hello, SPED 2010 students. I hope everyone had a great week last week. So, we are starting off this week with our very last week in Module 3. So, that means that we will be starting Module 4 next week and also have our second exam. So, this week we're doing Module 3, Week 10. Before I get started into what you're going to be doing, I did want to announce some changes I made in the schedule. So, originally, I had your co-teaching lesson plan and strategy presentation due on April 3rd. I have pushed it back a little bit since we got a later start doing our service learning hours and some of people are finishing things up still. I wanted to go ahead and just let you know that I have extended it. So the co-teaching lesson plan and teaching strategy is now going to be due on April the 14th. So with that being said, I wanted to show you where to go in. I encouraged you at the beginning of the semester to go through and read Module 1 so you would know about the major assignments required in this course. Well, one of those assignments is going to be your co-teaching lesson plan and teaching strategy. So I wanted to show you where you can locate that. So if you go into course information, hit content, you're going to select Module 1 Getting Started, and you will select Assessment Information. Underneath Assessment, you see Major Assignments. You will see Co-Teaching Lesson Plan. The due date has changed to the April 14th. I have two sections in here. One is the instructions and the assignment itself. The other is a co-teaching video. So what that means, this video is explaining the co-teaching assignment, which I want you to watch. So instead of me putting on the course homepage, I put the video here explaining the assignment inside the content itself. So if you click on co-teaching lesson plan and presentation, you're going to see the assignment itself, right? So the objective of this assignment is really for you to learn some research-based strategies, right? Co-teaching is where you are going to work with another teacher. And co-teaching does happen sometimes if you have students who maybe have special needs. You will have more than one teacher in the classroom. You also sometimes might see them in a regular gen ed classroom. It just depends. Always you will see them in a resource room where two teachers are really working together. And the premise behind that is this: you are trying to support the students, um, their goals, their IEPs, those sorts of things. So there are multiple co teaching models, which you're going to be learning about in week 10. But I want you to choose one of these strategy choices, right? So, what you're doing with this presentation is teaching us pre-service teachers about a certain research-based strategy that you can use inside of a co-teaching classroom. Now, obviously, you can use these research-based strategies if you are just the only teacher in the classroom as well, but these are really good to pair up when you work with another teacher. So, what you're going to do is you're going to choose from the strategy choices here listed. Now, remember, these are research-based strategies or evidence-based, mean that we have done research on it and that these strategies work help support the students in the classroom. So I usually, if this is an in-person class, you normally have to partner up with another student in the class. But since this is online, I'm giving you a choice. You may work alone or you can work with a partner. What I want you to do is you're going to be emailing me what strategy you want to choose for your co-teaching lesson plan and presentation. So I'd like you to do that this week. By Friday, I want you to go ahead and let me know. So that would be Friday, March 29th. You will let me know what strategy choice you choose. So you're going to pick one of these and you're going to do research on this strategy. And what you're going to do is tell us about the strategy. I have two parts to this lesson or this project that you're going to be doing. One part is doing a lesson plan, and the lesson plan is not to teach students. The lesson plan is to teach us about this strategy and how we could use it in our own classrooms, right? So you're teaching us, not students. You're going to have a presentation to go along with this. Now, obviously, if you were doing this in a classroom, I would just let you do your presentation, but since you are going to be doing this online, you need to also submit a lesson plan. And what this means is that you are going to research the strategy and you are going to teach us best practices with this strategy, right? So we want to know, how do we implement this strategy in the classroom? Your presentation should not mirror your lesson plan. The presentation really should be visual for us about some examples of using this strategy in classroom. And you're going to think about multiple grade levels and examples with multiple grade levels. I do explain this assignment further inside of the co-teaching video, which I want you to watch. You will also submit your lesson plan. Okay, so you got two things you will be submitting to Dropbox. So since we're not meeting, if you choose, we're not meeting for in class. This is a not an in-person class. So since this is online and asynchronous, you are going to have to, if you choose to work with a partner, come up with ways to meet to work on this strategy yourself. One thing I do want to know, and I think I mentioned this in the video when I talk about the assignment, is that even if you choose to work alone, when you're working on your co teaching lesson plan, you still need to come up with a part for the other teacher. So there will still be two roles that you will put down there, even though there's just one person doing it. So make sure you read through this. I have a rubric. I attached an example lesson plan, an example of a presentation. This is going to give you an idea kind of what it would look like. Um, and if you go back underneath major assignments and you scroll down, you're going to see the co-teaching video. Remember, this video is walking you through the assignment itself, right? So if you didn't want to look at the video and watch it, there's also an option for a transcription, right? So it transcribes the video. So you could read that if you didn't want to watch the video. But it's important for you to see what the expectations are. So read over the assignment, the examples, look at those. And then also, I want you to email with any questions. And also, you're going to email me if you're working alone or with a partner. And then in the same email, I want you to tell me what your topic's going to be. So, what research based strategy are you choosing to do your topic on? I also wanted to know, if you have any questions ever about any assignments that you have to research, please feel free to reach out to our librarian or myself. So, the librarian is embedded in our course. So, if you click on course tools and class list, you can actually email the librarian from here and send her email about any kind of research. Now, remember, anytime you research something, you do have to cite your sources. So, inside your presentation, I expect you to include a APA format reference page that shows your sources. All right, guys. So, now that we went over that, just to remind you, it's due April 14th. I want you to kind of look at what we're doing this week. So, since this is the last week in this module, that means next week you will, the quiz 2, which is our second exam, will be open. So, the second exam will open on April the 1st and close on April the 7th. So, that will give you one full week to work on the exam or choose to take the exam when you feel prepared. So, before we can get into that, I wanted to go over what is expected of you this week. So, you'll see really our outcome this week is to look at those high leverage practices and evidence based practices, which goes along with our co teaching assignment project. So, we're looking at how these practices work and what are the categories of high leverage practices and how they can help us in the classroom. So, for your tasks, I gave you lots of support to kind of help you be able to connect with this, especially since you're going to be using some of this in your co teaching presentation. So, what I want you to look at first is, I have, instead of reading out a textbook, I've provided you with two articles, right? So, one of them is high leverage practices and evidence based practices and how you use them together, called a promising pair. The second article is, how do you successfully implement these evidence based practices? So, I included the two articles here for you. They're not too long, so please make sure that you read through those. What I always encourage students to do, as you're reading through it, make notes or highlight sections, and that will help you. I also, inside of your reading resources or learning tasks, I have some presentations. There's a Nearpod presentation, which I'll show you just a second, and then you have a PowerPoint. So, really, to help you connect a deeper understanding of evidence based practices. For your assignments, you are going to be completing a worksheet. So, you will complete an IRIS module. Instead of using the assessment that is embedded into the IRIS module, I have given you a worksheet. The worksheet you will complete. This goes along with the IRIS module. And as you can see, I even told you kind of the pages that they were on to kind of help you complete the worksheet. So once you are after you complete the worksheet, you will save it, and then this is what you will submit to Dropbox. Okay, so um, that will be due on Sunday, this Sunday, on March 31st. Something that's due also this week is going to be your service learning journal. Okay, so I've talked to a few students. Some students are still completing their hours this week for whatever reason. But for those of us that have completed it, you are to submit your service learning journal. This is for everyone. Um, and then for those who also have completed their hours, your mentor teacher needs to email me or mail me your closing documents. Now remember, your closing documents are your evaluation that the mentor teacher completes for you, and also your logged hours that have to be initialed by your mentor teacher as well as yourself, explaining your duties for the time that you were there. So both of those things are due the 28th, but the actual assignment is going to be due on the 31st, which is this Sunday. Also, I have provided you with a study guide for Quiz 2 that will help you get ready and prepare for next week's exam. So, how will you be assessed this week? You will be assessed through your IRIS module assignment that you're turning in, as well as your service learning journal. So, keep in mind, it will take me a while to grade these. I haven't really graded any that had been submitted so far because I was waiting till the due date to close. Big projects like this may take me a little bit of time to grade, so just keep that in mind. Also, your quiz 2, you study, that will be part of your assessment that goes into next week with our second exam. I have included some keywords and concepts here that I want you to really practice and focus on. Obviously, evidence based practices is be one of them, which you will learn the definition and what those are through the learning activities, the journal articles that I also gave you. The Every Student Succeeds Act and how that's related to evidence based practices. High leverage practices, what is the difference between that? What is it? And how does it compare to evidence based practices? And how do you implement them? And then also, going a step further, aside from high leverage practices, is that we have four aspects that we include. And what are those? Well, we have collaboration, assessment, social emotional behavior, and instruction. So these are really important for you to be able to understand these concepts and definitions. So going into week 10, when you click on it, we were just in the outcomes and keywords. You have your articles, the high leverage practice video that I also have there for you that I want you to watch. I also included you with two presentations. Now, obviously, the Nearpod has embedded quiz questions to give you that feedback to see how you're doing. But then I also gave you a PowerPoint presentation that's really going to help you go through evidence based and high leverage practices. Now, you'll see here underneath assignments, I reminded you about your service learning journal. That is due. There's not a place in the Dropbox for your closing documents because that has to be sent by your mentor teacher. Okay. You will be submitting that worksheet that I showed you after you complete the IRIS module. And then I provided you with the Quiz 2 study guide and the Quiz 2 PowerPoint. I put this here. You're not turning this in till April 14th, but I wanted to make you aware of that. Please remember to go back and watch the video or read the transcript and then read through the um, assignment instructions for the co-teaching lesson plan and presentation. Also, don't forget you will have to email me your strategy choice and then if you choose to work alone or with a partner. All right, guys, that is it for this week. Please reach out. Also, don't forget to email me what you're supposed to. If you have questions about or concerns about your hours or anything to do with completing your hours, please let me know and reach out so we can try to get that figured out. All right, guys, I hope you have a great week. And until next time, take care.